Hello and welcome to this video. Data scientists likes to work with data that are arranged in a certain format. So a data set structure basically refers to the arrangement of the data. There are several ways to structure data, but the most popular way of structuring data that data scientists prefer to work with is referred to as tabular data. Now, tabular data basically arranges data in rows and columns. One of the most common types of file formats for storing tabular data is called comma-separated values, also known as CSV files. So this is an example illustration of what a typical tabular data structure looks like. So the data is arranged in rows and columns. In terms of the CSV files, the data files are stored in specific formats. With CSV, each record is stored in a line and each field is separated by a comma. Hence it's referred to as comma separated values. If your data is stored in a CSV file, you can use a special method called read_CSV, which is from the Python library called pandas. This enables you to read the contents of the file into memory. What is pandas? Pandas is a powerful library in Python that provides data analysis tools. So it enables you to read the contents of a CSV file into memory using the read_CSV method from the pandas library. Before you can use the pandas library in your data analysis environment, you will have to import it into that environment. To illustrate how the pandas library work, we're going to read the content of a CSV file. So I've created a new directory here, and inside the directory, I've got a file here, a CSV file called us_baby_names. I am going to start the Jupyter notebook from this directory I have changed to, so that I can experiment with the pandas library. So now that the Jupyter notebook server started, I'm going to create a new notebook. You can see the CSV file I want to use is being showed here in the directory I started the Jupyter server. So I'm going to click on this option here, new. I'll click on Python 3 to create a new notebook. And once that notebook is created, you can see the cell here. I am going to just double click to give the notebook a name. I'm going to click on this untitled so as to give the notebook a name. I'm just going to call it tabular data, and I'll click rename. So this notebook now has a name. And inside this cell here, the first thing I want to do is import the pandas library. So to do that, you type in the keyword import space and you type in the word pandas. Now I want to be able to refer to this pandas library as an alias throughout this notebook. So I'm going to do space as PD. So anytime I want to use a function or a method from the pandas library, I'll be referring to it as PD. So here I've imported, I'm just going to run the cell. So you can see here, I've imported the pandas library, and now I can now try and read from that CSV file, which is located in the same directory as where I started the Jupyter notebook server. So to do that, you reference the pandas library using PD, because I've referred to it as PD as an alias. So I'm going to do PD dot, and there is a special method in the pandas library called read underscore CSV, and inside the parentheses we're going to pass in the name of the CSV file as a string, and the file is called US underscore baby underscore names dot CSV, and then I'll click to run, and that you can see here I've run the file, and this is what the data looks like. So this object that we have been able to read here, this object is referred to as the pandas data frame. So now we know what the data looks like from that CSV file, because we've been able to read it into memory using the pandas library. What we can also do, we can create a variable and store this particular data frame into that variable. So whenever we want to access the data, all we have to do is refer to the variable name. To assign this data frame to a variable, I'll just come to this cell here and create a variable. I'm going to call it US underscore babies, and I'm going to use the equals to assign this data frame here to this variable called US underscore babies. After assigning the data frame to this variable I just created called US underscore babies, you need to run the cell again so that it generates the same data. So now if I want to access the data frame, all I need is just the name of the variable. So I come here, I just say US underscore babies and run the cell, and you can see here it's giving me the same information because I've stored the data frame inside a variable. So in the data frame here, you can see the data clearly displayed, and you can see here that each row represents a distinct pair of baby name and the birth year. So this example has shown you how tabular data works and how we've used the pandas library to read a CSV file into memory.